Hi, and welcome to the podcast on Entrepreneur's Journey. In today's episode, we delve into the remarkable 20-year career success of Lars, a seasoned professional who began as a journalist, evolved into an entrepreneur, and established himself as an agency owner in the communication field. You've been a content writer for the last 20 years. Now, how has the content writing industry changed over the last 20 years? Can you tell me a little bit about, what the most significant shifts you've observed in terms of the industry, technology, dynamics, client expectations?
When internet came with websites and blogs, it started to almost eradicate the graphical industry. All the printers, print shops, and a couple of years later, during the late half of the first century, social media came. Began popping up and exploding and changing the map totally. And in this phase, most people in the industry were quite confused, I would say, because there were no given answers on how to handle these new platforms and communications channels, and me and my agency included. I mean, it was, quite confusing. And how would you reach out in this new landscape, in this new digital landscape? And then in 2014, actually, that's a precise year for me. An American guy called Joe Pulizzi published his book Epic Content Marketing. And Joe Pulizzi had founded the consulting firm Content Marketing Institute, I think it's called. And he wrote this book, and it's actually changed my professional life because his thoughts and insights, all pieces just fell in place. And I realized that what I've been doing all my professional life just fit it perfectly in the new digital landscape. And Joe Pulizzi called this content marketing. Actually, it was Joe who what do you say? He
coined the term.
Yeah, exactly. And and now it's a well-established and a well-known marketing term. But that was really an eye-opener for me. In other terms, I would used was inbound marketing. But it's all about basically the same. It's about embracing the fact that the digitalization, and specifically the combination of Google and smartphones, I would say, totally changed the power balance in marketing and communications. Because from that point, the reader or receiver or target group or whatever you call it took over and got in charge of information. Because traditionally, you had a sender of a message, a brand or a company also, that sends out its message to a chosen target group. And the target group just had to take it or leave it. And if you wanted to get the information, you better listen. But from this paradigm shift, the target groups now can choose what content to take part of and when to listen, read, or whatever, watch it, and where to do it. And because all information, principally all knowledge of humankind, is now at hand in your pocket whenever you need it, wherever you are. And this means, what information or content do you choose in this situation?
And it's very interesting where you've got, before, the power of content was very much centralized, right? It was one linear, it was one dimension, right? You would just broadcast it out.
Yeah.
And now everyone is just creating their content as well. Given the saturation of the content market, what do you think some of the biggest challenges you face now in maintaining a competitive edge?
As long as you're relevant, trustworthy, and value-adding, you still have a good chance to reach through the clutter. And I mean, this has been my way. I mean, I stick to traditional journalistic methods and expressions, but I also keep myself updated on, what is required for a text to reach through digital. I mean, you have to consider headlines and subheadings differs, and even the structure of an article might be different if you are writing for digital or print. So, but delivering quality journalism combined with an understanding of the marketing aspects, I keep up my competitiveness, I hope. But I think in this landscape, it's key to understand that it's content is not enough. You have to have the marketing aspect as well. You have to have that understanding. Yeah, and another thing is, I mean, as an entrepreneur, an agency leader, also learned a profound understanding of my customers' business, because if I am running a business, it's easy for me to understand my customers' situation as well. And I think that's an important aspect. Understanding your customer's business and understanding that you are a part of your customer's marketing, and the whole point of your content production is to support the customer's business goals.
The market's become very saturated. You got lots of gurus, happening left, right, and center. What advice would you give to aspiring content writers who are considering starting their own agencies right now?
Learn writing in an editorial way and what editorial content is about. I mean, by attending a journalism school, for example, so you get the journalistic training. I think that's key if you want to work with content. And if you have the opportunity, try to get a job. Start by trying to get a job as a reporter, preferably at the local daily newspaper, because that's the absolutely best school you can have. Actually, I would say maybe some not so flashy, but I think that's really important. And if you already have that experience, learn how journalism works in the digital marketing business. That's I think that's the base you need, and then just do it. That's the best advice I think I can give. I mean, I had a savings capital of, I think it was £500 or something like that. I mean, that was 30 years ago, so of course it's and I flew. I started to call and I started to mail companies and organizations in my region, and now we're talking postal mail here. But anyway, just fly, just do it.
What would you say are some of the common pitfalls then? Say that I'm an aspiring content writer, I've gone to journalism school, I know a bit about digital marketing, I want to get out there, it's very competitive.
Yeah.
I also want to make it big. What would you say to someone, or to your younger self even?
Yeah.
What are some of the common pitfalls they should avoid?
Well, one pitfall may be if you're selling yourself too cheap, it's very difficult to raise your fee later on. I mean, it's tempting, because you need your first assignments, but try to keep up your fee. Be proud, and dare to turn a poorly paid assignment down, because in the long run, that you will. It's important, I think. And then, I mean, other advice, use content marketing like you are doing. I think if you want to set up a content marketing agency or be a content producer, use it yourself. If you say you are an expert, I mean, it's much better to show it. And that I think that's the core of our content market: show, don't tell. Because you are much more trustworthy if you can show that, hey, I'm a professional in this, and I truly believe in it myself. So,
what about there's all of these AI tools that are coming up? And I mean, that's definitely disrupting the industry, right? And it's becoming even more competitive for content writers to get in there and, start their own thing. What would you say? I mean, have you personally embraced those tools? Did you find them disruptive? How do you think AI tools or AI writing tools specifically impacted, for example, your agency's operations? And what
Yeah.
would you say to someone who, who's just starting out, who's might be thinking, there's no point to do content marketing because the AI can do it faster and quicker than me.
Yeah.
It can turn it around.
Yeah. Well, I think this technology will clearly be disruptive. I mean, in the sense that the industry will need less writers, photographers, illustrators, filmers. Yeah. But this far, I've actually benefited from it. I mean, sometimes I use ChatGPT to give me a draft on a complex topic, for example. And then I double check with different sources. But it's faster and it's energy saving compared to Googling, which would give me the same result. But I think it gives me a better base for my text. But one scary thing is that ChatGPT is such a good writer. It's unbelievable, I think, and I think the word mind blowing, that's a cliche, but in this case, it's definitely relevant. And to be honest, well, I'm glad I will retire in 6 years, actually, because I think AI risks to more or less eradicate our profession the same way desktop publishing and the internet almost eradicated the graphic industry. But we have to remember the graphic industry is still there. So, I mean, there will be people evaluating and instructing AI and using it, but much less, I think.
But do you think then if everyone's moving to AI, then wouldn't this content writing skill become extinct? When you think about it for a minute, all of this, and I've seen this shift. I've been looking at some US market data, and everyone now is moving digitally, right? So so jobs like even plumbing or roofing or gardening are becoming so scarce because no one wants to do them because everyone wants to get on that digital bandwagon, right? So then you've got jobs that are very labor, I would say, intense, are becoming more and more scarce and therefore more and more valuable. So obviously you've got even your local plumber is charging you a lot these days, right? Do you think something like this might happen where everyone's jumping on the AI bandwagon for writing, and then real subject matter experts become very valuable because those are the ones that have read the thousand. I mean, and again, the AI can of course do it faster, but do you think that there might be a chance there for becoming valuable as AI becomes so common?
Yes. I think that's an interesting, interesting view. I think that might be the case, but the thing is, these valuable content producers or content marketers will be much less than today. I mean, we have the bulk of content that is produced today, and that this content tsunami. I think that will be generated by AI in the near future. But the exclusive content, the one that really sticks out and that really makes a difference, I think, like you say, that will be more valued than it is today, and that will be good for the one who sticks to the profession and manage to survive.
What would be in the customer's mind between choosing the smaller agencies and the bigger agencies? What do you think it is?
I think it depends on the customer, because it's always much safer for the person in charge, the one who's taking the decision, to choose the bigger agency. He or she knows that this will cost us a bit more, but no one can criticize me. If something goes wrong, I did the right decision. You know, I choose the well-known agency that everyone has recommended, etc., etc. It's a safe choice, and I think that's one reason that the bigger agencies maybe has easier to get clients. But I have another story. One of our big clients for a period was the German energy group E.ON. I don't know if you know them in UK. Yeah,
everyone knows that.
yeah. And I when I first met their Swedish communications director, it was we were attending an industry meeting together, and I just happened to got beside her on our way out. So I just started chit-chatting with her, and she expressed it like this: their needs, that we need an agency around the corner. I don't know if this is understandable in English. It's quite a Swedish expression, but a no-nonsense communications workshop kind of agency, and she asked, "Are you that agency?" And I said something, like I just told you. I had 1 minute, maybe 2 minutes. It was actually the only true classical elevator pitch that I have succeeded in. Yeah. And the day after, they called me and scheduled a meeting, and then it resulted in a big account. And I think what this story tells us is that there's another factor of importance here. You need a portion of luck and, before all, timing in your sales work. If you are the right person at the right time, it can all just go
all together.
Yeah, and very quick as well, and in that case, the customer here they were a little bit tired of all these, big agencies with all the strategies, and they wanted someone who just they could work close together with, more of these, tactical doers.
I guess it is an individual choice, isn't it? At the end of the day, going with the bigger agencies, it could be maybe multiple factors. Like you said, it could be a safe choice for internal politics. It could be also a right decision for the company. Maybe they know someone. Equally with a smaller, I guess, more boutique agencies where the quality as well would be different, more specialized perhaps, or have a more personal touch. Exactly, like we do.
And you said something important here: knowing someone. I think one advice for young people who are aspiring to start an agency, networking is very important, but not, I wouldn't say networking in the sense of just running around and mingling around in different, try to find out what quality networking. Try to find the right industry organizations, engage yourselves in different industry organizations, because mingling, won't give you much business, but engaging in the industry, that might give you business, because then you are starting getting connections, learning people who can open doors for you, etc.
I think having a more targeted approach always helps. If you're maybe a specialist in the industry, and the big players there, and you've situated yourself, perhaps what I'm hearing you say is just find those thought leaders, or find people who know the thought leaders, and mingle in those circles, and
trying to establish yourself as a thought leader, because we had 3 main channels in our own content marketing efforts, digital newsletter, and then we arranged breakfast seminars. And these breakfast seminars was, I think, they were quite important, because then we got people to us, physically coming to us. And then that's quality networking, I would say, because then you are on your, in your home, as you say.
So going back to the questions, to the question, which is, key factors, I would say strategies. So definitely one would be having the right connections.
Yeah.
From what I'm hearing, you say the second one is having the skill. What would you say to aspiring content writers or content agencies who maybe they're just starting out, maybe they have one or two clients under their belt, again, very small, and they're struggling to scale?
Well, if we're talking about scaling agency and, more or less quickly, if that's your ambition, I would say try finding and including professional business competence in the firm, for example, by either hiring an external chairman of the board, or trying to find some kind of mentors, just so you get in experience of scaling up, because I think that's a quite specific competence, and to know how to do this, because and to someone who can also say, go for it, or don't do that, don't go that way, do it this way, because otherwise I think if you have that ambition, it's quite lonely, if you're especially if you're a young entrepreneur. How can anyone know what's right or what's wrong, because it's quite high stakes,
So,
and I think it's important to have someone experienced connected to your firm, and that might be a chairman of the board, for example. But a second advice I would like to give here is to be very thorough and careful when you recruit people, because if you want to scale up, I mean, that means you will recruit people, and you must have the right people. You must find the right people, because wrong people can do irreparable harm. And they must have the journalistic and content marketing skills. They should be creative. They should love to be a part of the sales work, and they must be committed. And, I mean, where do you find these superheroes? That's not easy, but give it a try, and maybe work out a thorough process for recruiting, the best people you can hire. So you just don't just meet someone, have an interview and say, hey, you seems nice, you seem to know the profession, I hire you. Be much more systematic and thorough, because the people is the key for success, I would say.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. Personally, I find in my agencies exactly the same. Having the right people can either elevate you or bring you down.
Yeah. We have to remember that the customers, they are buying the persons, they are buying your people. It's not. I mean, you can have the best pitch materials or whatever. It doesn't matter, because it's how you are presenting your agency. It's not what you are saying. It's how you are presenting, how the customer, what feeling do they get.
What would be some of your advice on selling yourself, standing out to aspiring agencies, owners, or content?
Well, that's a, what do you say, the 10 billion question, $10 billion question. But I think it's important to be yourself, believe in your skills, believe in the people you have hired, let them, feel that they have your trust, and be clear about what is your unique selling point, or whatever you want to call it. If you don't know this, how can a customer understand it? It sounds so. It almost sounds like a cliche to say, but it's very true. And be clear about what are your core values. What are your what's your offer, and what are you representing? I mean, so you are clear of what the customer can, what can they expect by working with you.
I think it does come down to clarity at the end of the day, right? If you're not clear on where you're going, what you're doing, what your value systems are, what your message is, what the problem that you're actually trying to solve in the industry, then the customer would know these things either, and then it would be confusing. You'll be difficult.
And if it's, I mean, also I think it's important to remember. I mean, if you are working with content, for example, and you're starting up a content marketing agency, it's easy to forget that not everybody is having that profile. Your competitors may have other skills that they are highlighting. Maybe they are experts in public relations, or they are experts in change communications, or they are experts in... It's easy to forget that, hey, content marketing itself might actually be, and that we are, we have the journalistic skills. We truly have that. If you are about to sell the editorial communication, don't forget that the competitors might actually say something else.
What would you say your biggest advice is right now to people who are in the space that you are right now?
Most agencies are either they are content producers only, or they are digital marketers only. Digital marketers knowing everything about algorithms and cookies and whatever. So if you are basically a content producer, I think my advice is to bundle up with someone who's expert in digital marketing techniques, because that combination is a strong one.
Sounds like we can't be good at everything, and we can't know everything, right?
No,
it has to be a combination of things.
Yeah.
So if I were to sum this up in terms of some of the lessons and some of the advice that you've given, and correct me here, and I'll list a few things, and you feel free to add as well. So we talked about being competitive, having the right team. This means also maybe having a partner who can lift you up as well. One can be good at content, the other one can be good at marketing, which is what you just said. Being able to network and have ties with the industry. Being able to position yourself. Personal brand is very important, because people are working with yourself. So you need to be able to trust you. So credibility, personal brand. Position yourself as a thought leader, as a specialist in the industry. Do use AI, because it will help you with many of your things. But be still that subject matter expert that people come to you and they trust you. We talked about having the right systems and having the right processes to be able to guide that team and to build your agencies as well. Hire properly, and probably have a good recruitment process in place. Have I missed anything else?
I think you summed up that pretty well. I think.
And I guess probably be proud.
Yeah.
And I think maybe the last thing, which is what I guess you've started with, when I asked you a question about how has the industry changed and everything, I guess the moral there is just be open to that disruptive change. because otherwise you're going to get left behind, right?
Right. And I think where I ended here, I think that's an important point, because a content producer is probably not a tech guy, probably not very interested in how algorithms work. But you have, I think, to be successful in the future, you have to have that skill as well. So bundle up, I think. Is
if people need to reach you, what's your agency's name? What's the one way that they can reach out to you, speak to you, if they need some advice or if they need some content writing?
So Wirtén Content Agency, that's my agency name, and you find me on the web on wirten.se. It's WIRTEN.se, and of course on LinkedIn.
Yeah, thank you so much for having us today, Lars. And
thank you very much. Thank you very much, Seth, for inviting me. It's been an honor.